What if the reason you feel so drained isn't because life is too hard, but because you're letting too much get to you? Every little comment, every delay, every insult, every misunderstanding, you carry it, you overthink it. You let it eat away at your peace like termites in a foundation, slow, silent, and destructive. And the worst part, you probably don't even realize how much control you've given away. How many times you've allowed someone else to decide how your day will feel. How often you've let something small dictate something big, like your mood, your mindset, your focus. You weren't meant to live like this. Always on edge, always reacting, always pulled in every direction by things that don't deserve your energy. You were meant to stand strong, calm, in control, but instead life feels like a storm and you're just trying to hold on. You feel like you're constantly trying to prove you're okay, when deep down you're not because you're weak, but because no one ever taught you how to protect your peace. And maybe that's why you're here right now, because you're tired. Tired of letting things break you. Tired of letting emotions run wild. Tired of feeling like your power slips through your fingers every time something goes wrong. But hear this clearly. You don't have to live reactive anymore. There's another way, a stronger way, a way to walk through chaos and not be touched by it, a way to hear the insult, see the disrespect, feel the pressure, and still remain unshaken. That's not indifference. That's not coldness. That's power. The kind of power that doesn't yell, doesn't fight, doesn't crumble. It just is, steady, quiet, immovable. And once you learn how to act like nothing bothers you, not because you don't care, but because you refuse to give away your peace, you unlock a whole new level of strength. You walk differently. You think differently. You stop living for approval and you start living for clarity. You stop explaining yourself and you start standing tall in silence. People will notice. They won't know why you've changed, but they'll feel it. The energy around you will shift. You won't get dragged into drama anymore. You won't panic when things go wrong. You'll become the calm inside the storm, the one they can't shake, the one they can't figure out, the one who holds their ground no matter what. And this doesn't mean life will suddenly be easy. No, it means you'll be stronger than what's difficult. It means you'll stop folding under pressure. You'll stop shrinking under judgment. You'll stop letting small people make you forget how big you really are, because that's what emotional control gives you. It brings you back to yourself. This mindset isn't just about looking strong, it's about being free, free from the opinions, free from the need to respond to every disrespect, free from the addiction to external validation. That's what's waiting for you if you commit, if you stay, if you choose not to run when it gets uncomfortable. So if you're listening right now, if you've made it this far, then you already have what it takes, because the first step to power is awareness. And now that you're aware, now that you see how much peace you've handed away, it's time to take it back. Don't wait until life forces you to be strong. Choose it now. Choose to master your emotions before they master you. Choose to stop reacting and start rising. Because the moment you decide to protect your peace, everything starts to change. People will test you. Life will shake you, but you won't move. You'll be solid, centered, unbothered. And that's not just a trait, it's a weapon, or one that will separate you from the noise, one that will keep your vision clear when others lose their way, one that will make sure you never lose yourself again in things that don't matter. If you stay with this, if you follow through, you will become someone they can't ignore, someone who doesn't flinch, someone who commands respect, not by volume, but by presence. So stay until the end, because the more you listen, the more you'll remember who you were before the world tried to shake it out of you. You'll stop chasing peace and start embodying it. And when you do, nothing will bother you, because you'll be too focused, too grounded, too powerful to be moved. Most people don't realize the real cost of being reactive. They think it's harmless, that getting angry, lashing out, or overthinking is just a part of being human. But every time you react without control, you lose a piece of yourself. You give away time, energy, focus. You let your emotions run the show, and soon they're steering your life into places you never meant to go. Think about it. How many moments have you wasted dwelling on something that didn't deserve your attention? How many nights have you lost sleep replaying conversations you should have ignored? How many times have you let someone else's opinion dictate how you feel about yourself? That's not strength. That's surrender. Quiet, invisible surrender to forces that don't deserve to hold power over you. And the truth is, it's not just about losing peace, it's about losing your edge. Because the moment you become emotionally predictable, you become easy to manipulate. They know how to get to you. They know which words light the fire, which actions make you fold. That kind of vulnerability isn't emotional openness, it's exposure. And in a world that constantly tests you, you can't afford to be exposed. If you want to own your life, you need to own your emotions. If you want real power, real progress, real presence, you need to stop letting things get under your skin. Because people will push you, life will frustrate you, things will go wrong. But your reaction, that's yours. That's the only part you control. And when you master that, you master everything. You have to stop measuring your strength by how loud you can be when you're angry. Start measuring it by how quiet you can be when you're calm. That silence isn't weakness, it's self-command. It's the ability to hold fire without burning, to feel chaos inside you and still choose discipline. That's what separates leaders from followers. That's what builds unstoppable people. And here's what no one tells you. Emotional control isn't about suppression. It's about strategy. It's not about pretending you don't feel anything. It's about learning what to do with what you feel. It's about slowing down the rush before it takes you down with it. It's about creating space between what happens and how you respond. That space, that's your battlefield. That's where the war is won. Because when you react without thinking, you become a prisoner to the moment. But when you pause, even for a second, you reclaim control. That's not just a habit, that's a skill, a mental muscle you build over time. And just like any muscle, it gets stronger the more you use it. You won't get it perfect every time, but the goal is progress, not perfection. One reaction at a time, you train yourself to stay calm, to think clear, to move with intent, not impulse. There's nothing more dangerous than someone who can sit in their own emotions without letting them dictate their actions. Because that kind of person can't be baited. They can't be thrown off track. They don't crumble when things go sideways. They adapt. They adjust. They stay locked in, focused, relentless. That's who you need to become. Not the one who explodes when pushed, but the one who smiles and keeps moving. Not the one who argues to be heard, but the one who knows silence says more. Not the one who reacts for validation, but the one who chooses composure because peace is too valuable to trade. People will always try to get a reaction out of you. They'll poke, provoke, and press your buttons just to see what you'll do. Let them. That's their game. But you don't play games with your peace. You've got places to be, goals to hit, a future to protect. So when they try to pull you into the noise, let them talk, let them doubt, let them misunderstand. Because the moment you stop responding, you start rising. There's no prize for being emotionally available to every situation. There's no reward for reacting to every insult, every setback, every inconvenience. But there is a reward for staying grounded when it's hard, for choosing growth over ego, for protecting your power no matter what tries to pull it away. You have to ask yourself, what's more important, proving a point or keeping your peace? What matters more, being right or being unbothered? Because peace isn't something you find, it's something you build. Every time you hold back when it's easier to explode. Every time you choose focus when it's easier to spiral. Every time you let go of what doesn't serve you, you're building something unbreakable. So if you're tired of letting every little thing knock you off center, decide right now. Decide that from this moment forward, your emotions are not available to chaos. Your energy is not up for auction. Your power is not a reaction. It's a choice. One that only you get to make. There is a quiet kind of strength that doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't scream. It doesn't argue. It doesn't beg to be noticed. It simply is. That kind of strength is rare, not because it's unreachable, but because most people never learn how to access it. They're too busy proving themselves to people who don't even matter. Too busy reacting to things that don't deserve a single second of their energy. And so they stay trapped in a cycle, triggered, emotional, drained. But there's a shift that happens the moment you stop giving everything a piece of you. When you stop explaining yourself, when you stop chasing understanding from people committed to misunderstanding you, when you stop trying to win battles that don't even belong to you. That shift, that's when the real power begins. Because you realize you don't need to respond to be strong. You don't need to defend yourself to be confident. You don't need to fight for respect when your presence commands it. Acting as if nothing bothers you isn't about pretending. It's about deciding. Deciding that you will no longer allow external chaos to disturb your internal clarity. That you will no longer hand over your emotional thermostat to anyone else's behavior. That you will own your reactions the way a warrior owns their weapon. With care, with precision, and with restraint. Because not every attack is worth swinging back at. Some battles are designed to distract you, to pull you into chaos and drain your focus. When you rise above that, when you walk away from noise without losing your peace, you don't look weak, you look untouchable. That's what makes people pay attention. That's what earns real respect, not volume, not emotion, discipline. It takes discipline to stay calm when everything in you wants to explode. It takes discipline to breathe when your ego wants to speak. It takes discipline to sit with discomfort instead of lashing out just to feel in control. But if you can hold that line, if you can stay grounded when your emotions rise, then you've already won. You've proven that your mind belongs to you, not to your circumstances. Let that sink in. Your mind belongs to you, your thoughts, your focus, your peace. You get to choose how much space anything takes up inside you. That's not a small thing, that's everything. Because when your mind is calm, your choices are clear. When your emotions are centered, your path is steady. And when you stop reacting to nonsense, you start moving with purpose. Some people will never understand that kind of peace. They thrive on chaos. They want a reaction because it makes them feel powerful. But when you give them silence, when you give them nothing to push against, they lose their grip. They don't know what to do with someone who doesn't flinch. That's when you become unpredictable, unshakable, unstoppable. And here's the truth most won't tell you. Emotional stability is a superpower. It gives you clarity in confusion, strength in adversity, confidence in silence. It turns you into someone who can be in any room, any situation, any storm, and still hold your own. You don't fold, you don't chase, you don't react, you remain. That alone puts you ahead of most people. Because while they're wasting time reacting to everything, you're building, growing, moving forward. But to get there, you have to train it like a muscle. Every time you feel triggered and choose control, you're building that muscle. Every time you want to argue but stay silent, you're reinforcing discipline. Every time you walk away, instead of feeding the fire, you're becoming stronger. Not softer, stronger. Because restraint is strength. Composure is power. And peace is the most valuable currency you'll ever own. You can't control what people say. You can't control what they do. But you can control how much of it you let in. And that control, that's your edge, that's your armor, that's your advantage. While the world reacts, you respond. While others spiral, you stay calm. While they're stuck in cycles, you keep climbing. So if you want to lead yourself, your life, your vision, you must rise above the noise. Let others be loud. Let them be messy. Let them waste their energy. You hold the line. You stay composed. Because one day the same people who tried to shake you will look at you and wonder how nothing ever seemed to break you. They'll think it was natural, that you were born this way. But you'll know it was built through practice, through discipline, through 1,000 moments of choosing peace over chaos, power over panic, strength over reaction. And when that version of you finally arrives, calm, focused, grounded, nothing will feel more right. Because that's not just who you want to be, that's who you were always meant to be. Unbothered, untouchable, unshakable. You'll know you've grown when silence becomes your answer. When the same things that once stirred chaos inside you now pass by like wind. Felt, but no longer feared. That's not numbness. That's transformation. That's the moment you stop being controlled by the world and start mastering your inner one. There is a kind of freedom in not needing to respond, in not explaining yourself to people who've already made up their minds, in not allowing someone else's mood to become your mirror. That freedom is priceless. It doesn't come from having the last word. It comes from knowing you don't need it. Because real power doesn't chase validation. It doesn't seek permission. It simply exists, quiet, certain, untouchable. The truth is, people only get to you when they have access, emotional access, mental access. And too often, you hand them the key without realizing it. You let them in when you overthink their words, replay their actions, absorb their negativity. But once you decide to act as if nothing bothers you, you're not pretending. It's just that they no longer qualify for your reaction. Not because you're cold, but because you finally understand the value of your energy. Every reaction has a cost. And if you keep spending your strength on the wrong things, you'll have nothing left for what actually matters. That's the trap. Reacting to everything makes you lose touch with your purpose. You get dragged into noise, conflict, confusion, and suddenly your focus is gone. Your clarity is gone. You become emotionally bankrupt from transactions that never should have happened. But when you choose to stay calm, to remain still while the world shakes, you protect what's sacred. your focus, your goals, your identity. You don't let temporary emotions make permanent decisions. You don't let temporary people leave permanent marks. This kind of self-control is rare. It's rare because it's hard, because it requires facing yourself, sitting in discomfort, taming your ego when it wants to explode. But that battle, that quiet daily war inside your mind, that's where champions are made. That's where confidence is built, not in front of crowds, not in loud victories, but in silence when you choose discipline over drama, peace over pride, purpose over petty. And make no mistake, this mindset will set you apart. Because when you become unreactive, you become unpredictable. People can't figure you out. They don't know what buttons to press. They don't know where your weak spots are because you've sealed the cracks. You've done the inner work. You've trained your mind to answer pressure with patience. And that makes you different. Different is what wins. Different is what stands out. Different is what builds greatness. Because the average person can be provoked. The average person can be baited. But you, if you can learn to remain centered, become the exception. And in a world that feeds on attention and reaction, being the exception makes you powerful beyond measure. They might call it cold. They might say you don't care. Let them. You don't need to waste time defending your peace. You don't need to explain why you won't stoop to their level. The ones who move with power don't announce it, they just walk in it. Let your actions speak. Let your stillness speak. Let your results speak. Because in the end, your life won't be defined by how many arguments you won. It will be defined by how many times you walked away and chose your growth. How many times you had the opportunity to explode, but chose to elevate. That's what legacy is built on, not noise, but discipline. So stop letting small things shake your spirit. Stop lowering your standards just to feel seen. Stop reacting out of habit and start responding with wisdom. Your time is too valuable. Your focus is too rare. Your peace is too expensive to give away freely. And if you're still tempted to react, remember this: every second you spend explaining yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you is a second stolen from your mission. Every moment you lose defending your worth is a moment you could have been building it. You are not here to be shaken by shadows. You are not here to dance for approval. You are here to rise above noise, to lead yourself with clarity, and to protect your peace like it's your crown, because it is. Act as if nothing bothers you, not because you're numb, but because you're wise enough to know what's worth your energy and what's not. Because you've seen what happens when you give chaos a seat at your table. Because you've outgrown the version of you that needed to react to feel powerful. Now your power is different. It's silent, it's calm, it's controlled, and it's real. Every time you keep your cool when it would be easier to react, you build a version of yourself that's untouchable. That's not just emotional control, it's self-respect. It's knowing your peace is too valuable to hand over for free. You don't need to prove you're strong by raising your voice. You prove it by staying silent when everything in you wants to break. That's a different level of discipline. That's a different kind of strength. Most people never reach it because it's easier to react. It feels satisfying in the moment. It gives a false sense of power. But temporary power always comes with a long-term price. You say what you didn't mean, you hurt who you didn't want to, you regret what you can't take back. And for what? To win an argument that doesn't even matter? To defend a version of yourself that no longer fits who you're trying to become? Real growth begins the moment you stop explaining yourself to people who are not qualified to understand you. You don't owe your emotions to everyone. You don't owe your energy to everything. Some situations deserve your silence. Some people deserve your absence. Some battles are only meant to distract you from the war you're truly fighting, the one within, because that's the real opponent, not them, not their words, not their judgment. The real enemy is your reaction. The real challenge is your ability to stay grounded when your ego screams to be heard. That's where your power either rises or collapses. Not in what happens to you, but in how you choose to respond to it. That choice defines everything. That choice builds or destroys the life you're reaching for. People will try to pull you into their chaos just to watch you fall. They'll test your patience to validate their own lack of it. They'll throw their pain at you, hoping it sticks. And if you're not centered, it will. You'll absorb energy that was never yours. You'll carry emotions that never belonged to you. You'll become reactive to things that should have passed through you like air. And over time, that weight gets heavy. It slows you down. It dims your focus. It steals your clarity. That's why you must protect your inner space like your life depends on it, because it does. Everything you build starts from within. And if the inside is a mess, the outside will always follow. You can't create peace from a place of chaos. You can't lead from a mind full of noise. You can't grow if you're constantly triggered by the irrelevant. You are not designed to chase every insult. You are not built to respond to every opinion. You are meant for something greater, something quieter, something deeper. The ones who reach real success, the ones who carry true presence, they don't react like everyone else. They don't fight every battle. They don't answer every critic. They choose their responses like a surgeon chooses their tools, with precision, with purpose, with care. That's how you move differently. That's how you stand out. You don't rise by making noise. You rise by mastering the silence. You rise by keeping your composure when it feels impossible. That's what separates you. That's what makes people pause when you walk in the room. Not because you're loud, but because you're in control. And control is rare. Control is respected. Control makes people listen without you having to speak. So let the world do what it does. Let the comments come. Let the criticism echo. Let the chaos swirl. But you, stay still, stay focused, stay unfazed. That stillness doesn't mean you're passive. It means you're locked in. It means you're not giving up your throne for a petty argument. It means you're protecting your mission from every cheap distraction. And every time you do that, every time you walk away from what doesn't serve you, you grow stronger. Every time you choose clarity over conflict, you sharpen your mind. Every time you let go of needing to react, you build a version of yourself that nothing can shake. That version is powerful. That version moves with intention. That version doesn't fold. Because that version has learned the truth. Not everything deserves a response. Not every moment needs a reaction. Sometimes the greatest flex is staying calm. Sometimes the strongest move is to not move at all. You don't have to defend yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You don't have to match energy that doesn't align with your purpose. You don't have to react just because they expect you to. You're not here to be predictable. You're here to be undeniable. And the most undeniable people are the ones who never let the noise pull them off course. So hold that power, not just once, not just when it's easy, but every single time the world tests you. Because it will. The pressure will come. The triggers will rise. The old patterns will call your name. But when you choose silence over chaos, patience over panic, presence over ego, you win. Every time. Let them wonder why you never flinch. Let them guess what you're thinking. Let them question how you stay so calm. The answer is simple. You finally remembered who you are, and now nothing bothers you. There's a moment right before you react that defines everything. It's small or silent, almost invisible. But inside that moment, your future is being written, because that's where you either hand over your power or hold your ground. And most people never see it. They live on autopilot. They let the emotions speak. They let the ego take the wheel. And then they wonder why life feels out of control, why peace feels impossible, why they keep getting pulled into the same chaos over and over again. But you don't have to live that way. You can train your mind to pause, to breathe, to hold back. And in that pause, everything changes. Because the second you learn how to choose your response, you become someone they can't touch, someone they can't manipulate, someone who's not moved by moods, pressure, or provocation. That kind of control doesn't make you less human. It makes you more powerful. You're not here to be ruled by emotions. You're here to master them. That doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you feel deeply and still act wisely. It means you can experience anger without being consumed by it. You can acknowledge pain without letting it poison your decisions. You can sit with discomfort without letting it hijack your focus. That's the kind of control the world respects. That's the kind of discipline that builds kings, leaders, warriors. But it takes work, because everything in your body wants to react. The habits you've built over years want to speak for you. The triggers want to pull you back. But you don't owe your future to your past habits. You owe it to your vision. You owe it to the version of yourself that's trying to rise. The version that doesn't want to keep starting over. The version that's tired of being pulled in circles by emotions that were never meant to lead. Every time you choose control over chaos, you're voting for that version. You're building someone who can walk into a storm and not blink. Someone who can face disrespect and still walk tall. Someone who doesn't need revenge because their progress is the revenge. Someone who understands that not every insult is an invitation. Not every opinion is worth a reply. Not every battle is worth the cost. because there is always a cost. When you react from emotion, you lose something: time, energy, confidence, focus. You say things you wish you hadn't. You do things you regret. And slowly, those reactions shape your life into a version you don't even recognize. But when you stay calm, when you hold the line, you don't just protect your peace, you protect your future. They won't expect it. They'll be waiting for the old you, the one who over-explains, the one who argues, the one who flares up. Let them wait, because now your silence speaks louder than your words ever did. Your focus is louder than your anger. Your peace is your statement. Your progress is your answer, and it will confuse them. Your calmness will shake people more than your aggression ever could, because they can't argue with stillness. They can't twist silence. They can't weaponize what you don't give them. And when they can't predict you, they can't control you. That's what this is really about. Control, not of others, but of yourself. When you act as if nothing bothers you, it's not to impress. It's not to look cool. It's to reclaim what's yours, your mind, your mood, your direction. Because for too long, you've been giving those things away to people who didn't earn them, to situations that didn't deserve them. And now it's time to take them back. This isn't just a mindset shift. It's a complete reset. From reactivity to response, from noise to clarity, from chaos to control. And every day you live this way, you reinforce the identity of someone who is no longer moved by the external. Someone who doesn't need to chase peace, because they are peace. The outside world will test you. It will try to shake you. But that doesn't matter anymore, because the war is no longer out there. It's been won inside. And once you've claimed that victory, no one can take it from you. They can talk, they can mock, they can provoke, but you won't move. Because you're not here to be understood. You're here to be undisturbed. That's the power of acting as if nothing bothers you. You shift the attention, you disrupt the patterns, you break the cycle, and most importantly, you elevate. While the world stays stuck in reaction, you rise in restraint. While others fight to be heard, you grow in silence. While they seek validation, you seek mastery. That mastery is yours now, if you're willing to keep choosing it. If you're ready to stop reacting and start leading. If you're done letting small things steal big pieces of you. Because every moment you hold your peace, you become harder to shake, harder to read, harder to stop. And that's exactly who you're meant to be. Calm, focused, unmoved. Not because you don't feel, but because you finally learned what to do with the fire inside you. You don't let it burn you anymore. You let it build you. That fire inside you is not the enemy. It's potential. It's power waiting for direction. But when it goes unchecked, when it burns without guidance, it consumes everything. Your peace, your clarity, your discipline. That's what reaction does. It takes that raw fire and turns it into chaos. But when you learn to hold it, to master it, to channel it, that same fire becomes your drive, your edge, your force. And that's why you must decide who's in charge, your emotion or your mission. You can't serve both. Emotion will beg you to react, to protect your ego, to strike back. But your mission will demand that you rise above, that you think long term, that you stay focused on the outcome, not the offense. The moment you choose mission over emotion, you shift from impulse to intention. You move with purpose, not pain. Because pain will try to speak for you. It'll try to become your identity. Every trigger will whisper that you're not healed, that you're not in control, that you have to fight back to prove your strength. But real strength is silent. It doesn't flinch. It doesn't broadcast itself. It simply moves forward, untouched by the noise. Let them say what they want. Let them misjudge you. Let them misunderstand your silence. That's not your burden to carry. Your only job is to stay aligned with who you're becoming. And that person doesn't need validation, doesn't need revenge, doesn't need to explain what they've already mastered. You didn't come this far just to keep reacting the way you used to. You didn't go through all that growth just to stay stuck in emotional loops. You're here to evolve, to lead, to walk into rooms with calm in your chest and fire in your eyes, because now you know how to control both. That's what makes you different. While others are pulled by every feeling, you've learned to observe without absorbing, to feel without falling, to notice without needing to respond. That control isn't born from weakness. It's born from experience, from pain that shaped you, from battles you didn't win by fighting, but by refusing to be moved. And the more you live this way, the clearer it becomes. Not everything is worth your attention. Not every voice deserves a reaction. Not every situation requires your presence. Some things are best answered with distance. Some noise is best drowned out by silence. You don't need to argue to protect your peace. You don't need to prove who you are. Your energy speaks before you do. Let it speak for you, because that energy is rare now. Most people walk into the day already triggered, already emotional, already reactive. But you walk in steady, intentional, focused, and that alone gives you the advantage. Because when the pressure rises, you don't fold. When the tension builds, you don't panic. You stay centered, you stay unshaken. That center, that calm core inside you is your anchor. And the more you protect it, the more unbreakable you become. Life will test it. People will try to break it. But that's just noise, and noise can't touch someone who's built on silence, on discipline, on purpose. Let that be your legacy, not someone who reacted to everything, but someone who rose above, someone who made decisions from power, not pressure, someone who turned pain into presence, disrespect into distance, chaos into clarity. You don't have time to live in reaction. You don't have time to explain yourself to everyone. You're not here to win arguments. You're here to win your life. And winning means letting go of what doesn't grow you. It means mastering the moments that used to break you. It means choosing who you want to be, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because that's the moment that defines you. Not when it's easy, not when things are quiet, but when the noise is loud and your peace is louder, when the pressure rises and you rise higher, when everything in you wants to snap, but you breathe, stay still, and walk forward anyway. That's not just strength, that's mastery. And mastery looks like this, acting as if nothing bothers you, not because you don't care, but because you care too much about your future to be pulled back into the past. You've outgrown the drama, outgrown the triggers, outgrown the need to respond to every attack. Now, your presence speaks for you. Your consistency answers your critics. Your silence cuts deeper than any words ever could. And your peace? That's your victory. That's your armor. That's your proof that you are no longer controlled by what used to control you. So hold your line, protect your energy, and keep building the version of you that can't be shaken, because that version is already inside you, waiting, ready, rising. Every time you choose peace over reaction, you're rewriting your future. You're declaring that your mind is no longer a battlefield. You're showing the world and yourself that you have evolved past the level where your emotions control your actions. And that's no small thing. That's a declaration of personal power. Because true power doesn't scream. It doesn't chase validation. It doesn't need the last word. It simply holds its ground and keeps moving forward. There's a strength in stillness most people will never understand. In a world that constantly demands noise, silence is intimidating. When you don't react, people will misread it as weakness. Let them. When you don't respond to drama, they'll call you cold. Let them. When you don't explain yourself, they'll think you have something to hide. Let them think, because what they don't know is that every ounce of your silence is carefully built from discipline, from clarity, from a refusal to hand over your peace to anything or anyone that hasn't earned it. That's how you reclaim your life, not by being louder, not by proving anything, but by mastering what goes on within. Your mind is your territory. Your emotions are your responsibility, and you don't owe anyone access to them. You can observe, you can understand, but you don't have to let anything penetrate that space where your calm lives. Because once you protect that space, once you draw that line, you gain something rare, command over your inner world. And when you operate from that place, your energy shifts. People feel it. You walk differently. You speak less, but your words carry weight. You don't chase approval. You embody confidence. You don't over-explain. You move with certainty. That's the version of you the world needs. Not the reactive one, not the emotional one, but the composed one, the focused one. The version of you that no longer responds to things beneath your level of growth. Every distraction that tries to pull you back is a test of your control, a test of your focus. And the more you pass these tests, the more unshakable you become. You don't need to fight every battle. You don't need to fix every misunderstanding. Let people be wrong about you. Let them write their narratives. Their opinion is not your reality. And you don't rise by lowering yourself to defend your name. You rise by continuing to build a life that makes their doubts irrelevant. The person who knows their path doesn't stop to argue with every critic. They keep walking. They stay aligned. They understand that wasted energy is the enemy of progress. So when someone tries to provoke you, when life throws distractions disguised as insults, ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Is this worth delaying my growth? If the answer is no, don't engage. Let your silence speak volumes. People are addicted to drama because they mistake chaos for importance. But you've chosen a higher frequency. You've chosen elevation over ego. And that choice will separate you from the crowd. Not everyone will understand it, or not everyone will respect it, but that's not your concern. Your concern is staying true to your evolution, to the version of you that doesn't need to defend their calm to prove their worth. And as you continue on this path, you'll notice something powerful. The less you react, the more you observe. The more you observe, the more you understand. And the more you understand, the less control the outside world has over you. That's emotional freedom. That's how you take your power back, not by dominating others, but by mastering yourself. Let this become your new way of living. Not just something you turn on in difficult moments, but a permanent state of mind, a lifestyle built on inner authority, a way of being where nothing external can dictate how you feel, how you act, or what you believe about yourself. You were not created to be triggered by small minds and shallow noise. You were created to lead, to build, to rise. So rise with silence, rise with discipline. Rise with the understanding that the strongest person in the room is often the one who doesn't need to be seen. You don't need the spotlight to prove your growth. You don't need applause to validate your calm. Your results will speak. Your peace will shine. Your energy will draw the right things to you. This is how you act as if nothing bothers you. Not because you're numb, but because you're wise. Not because you don't feel, but because you've trained yourself to respond only to what matters. That is strength. That is power. That is self-mastery. And that version of you, the one who doesn't flinch, who doesn't fold, who doesn't fall into the trap of reaction, is already here. Keep showing up as them. Keep building that calm. Keep living like your peace is worth protecting. Because it is. Most people don't understand how much energy they waste by letting everything affect them. One careless comment, one rude glance, one unexpected problem, and suddenly their whole day is off track. They hand over their emotional stability like it's nothing, like their peace isn't sacred. But you know better now. You know your peace isn't something you casually give away. It's something you protect like your future depends on it, because it does. You can't build anything meaningful while constantly reacting. Every time you take the bait, every time you allow someone to stir your emotions, you lose valuable time, clarity, and power. The world doesn't slow down for your emotions. Life doesn't wait while you settle down from someone else's chaos. If you want to lead your life, you have to lead your emotions. That's where real power lives, not in what you control around you, but in what you control within you. You were never meant to be at the mercy of other people's moods, opinions, or expectations. That's a cage. And you weren't born to live small inside someone else's definition of what should bother you. You were built to rise above it, to operate from a place of focus so sharp that distractions bounce off of you. You were built to move forward no matter what noise surrounds you. The reason nothing seems to bother truly powerful people isn't because they don't feel. It's because they've trained themselves to pause, to breathe, to analyze before reacting. They've learned that emotion without direction is destruction, and they refuse to let temporary triggers ruin permanent goals. That's the discipline you're building now. The ability to remain calm in the face of things designed to throw you off. Because when you stay calm, you stay dangerous, you stay sharp. While others lose their heads, you remain composed. While they panic, you strategize. While they complain, you execute. That's what separates leaders from followers. That's what separates success from struggle. Not the absence of problems, but the presence of control. The more you practice this, the more automatic it becomes. It's like building mental armor. At first, it takes effort. You'll feel the pull to react, to explain yourself, to argue, to lash out. But with time, that pull fades. You start to realize that reacting is just another form of giving away your power. And you're done doing that. You're learning to let people talk, let situations unfold, let the noise pass. Because the truth is, most of the things that try to bother you aren't even about you. They're about other people's pain, fear, jealousy, or lack of self-control. But if you react, you absorb their energy. You take on problems that were never yours to begin with, and you weigh yourself down with battles that don't lead anywhere. You are too valuable to be dragged into every little emotional tug of war. You've got bigger things to do. You've got goals to reach. You've got a purpose to fulfill. And none of that includes losing sleep over people who don't understand your silence. You weren't born to explain yourself to every critic. You were born to show up, stay grounded, and let your consistency make the noise. The real ones don't get loud, they get disciplined. They don't post every move, they move in silence. They don't fight every battle, they choose wisely. And most of all, they understand that what you allow is what will continue. If you allow negativity to enter your space, it will keep coming. But if you protect your peace like a gatekeeper, you'll notice something powerful. The noise starts to fade. The triggers lose their power, and life starts responding to your energy instead of the other way around. So from this moment forward, choose to rise every time something tries to pull you down. Don't flinch. Don't fold. Don't hand over your peace for temporary satisfaction. Keep your head high, your focus clear, and your emotions disciplined. You've worked too hard to build this version of yourself. Don't let anything or anyone shake that foundation. Let others wonder how you stay so calm. Let them ask why you never get rattled. Let them watch as you walk through storms without losing your balance. That's what happens when you refuse to be moved by things that aren't aligned with your vision. That's what happens when your peace becomes your superpower. Because when you live like nothing bothers you, not out of arrogance, but out of maturity, you become unstoppable. You don't just survive, you dominate. You don't just react, you lead. And that's exactly what you came here to do. Stay grounded, stay focused, and keep becoming the version of you that nothing can shake. The moment you stop reacting to everything around you is the moment you begin to take control of your life. You stop being a puppet pulled by strings you didn't create. You stop living in response and start living with intention. That's when the shift happens. That's when you begin to lead your life instead of being led by emotions you never agreed to feel in the first place. When you learn to act as if nothing bothers you, you are not pretending. It's not about faking indifference. It's about elevating your response. It's about mastering your inner world so deeply that outer chaos no longer holds the same power over you. You're not avoiding emotion, you're mastering it. You're not running from challenge. You're facing it with unshakable calm. This is strength the world can't see on the surface, but it's what builds legacies. Because anyone can scream, anyone can complain, anyone can let stress control their day. But the person who keeps their composure under pressure, the one who doesn't crack when tested, that's the person people follow. That's the energy that changes rooms. That's the spirit that inspires others to rise. You are becoming that person. Each time you choose to pause instead of explode. Each time you focus instead of flinch. Each time you say nothing because you don't need to prove anything. That's progress. That's you detaching from the noise. That's you rising into someone who responds, not reacts. Because when you react, you're predictable. You're easy to manipulate. People can press your buttons and watch you fall apart. But when you respond with calm clarity, you're no longer playing their game. You're operating from a higher level. You see what they can't. You understand that power isn't proven by volume. It's proven by silence, by restraint, by inner certainty that doesn't need validation. Some will misunderstand you. Let them. Or some will call you cold. Let them. Some will try harder to break your calm because your peace threatens their chaos. Let them try. Their noise has no place in your mission. Your time is too valuable to spend on drama that leads nowhere. Your mind is too sharp to be pulled into arguments that solve nothing. Your energy is too sacred to be spent defending yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. This is about elevation, about making decisions that match your future, not your frustration, because when you react, you're stuck in the moment. But when you respond with purpose, you're aligned with your mission. You're not here to win arguments, you're here to win in life, and that means protecting your peace like your life depends on it. Because in many ways it does. Emotional discipline is a silent superpower. It's invisible to most, but it builds everything. Relationships, goals, leadership, legacy. And if you can master it, you become untouchable, not because the world stops challenging you, but because nothing outside of you holds the key to your peace anymore. You hold it now. You decide when to speak, when to act, when to walk away. That's control. That's freedom. And don't confuse calm with weakness. The calmest person in the room is usually the strongest. They've felt the chaos and chose not to be consumed by it. They've walked through the fire without letting it burn their purpose. They've learned that real battles are won not with rage, but with patience, focus, and restraint. That's who you're becoming. Someone who doesn't panic, someone who doesn't fold, or someone who doesn't flinch when life gets loud. You breathe, you analyze, you adjust, and then you keep moving forward with precision. Because your vision is too big to be derailed by noise. Your purpose is too real to be shaken by small minds or temporary stress. And your destiny is far too important to be delayed by distractions. You are no longer moved by the things that used to knock you off course. You are becoming immune to petty attacks, immune to pointless arguments, immune to the kind of negativity that once lived rent-free in your mind. You are no longer reacting from wounds. You are responding from wisdom. You've learned to feel without folding, to listen without absorbing, to move without needing to explain. And that's why you're rising. Because this strength isn't given, it's earned. Through repetition, through discipline, through choosing peace every single day, even when everything around you tries to shake it. Let the world see your calm and wonder how you do it. Let them try to figure out why nothing shakes you anymore. Because when they look closer, they'll realize it's not that life got easier, it's that you got stronger. It's that you stopped giving power to things that don't matter. It's that you finally realized peace isn't found, it's built. And you're building it right now. Word by word, choice by choice, day by day. You're becoming the kind of person who can walk into any storm and not be moved by it, because you carry your calm within you, because nothing outside of you defines you anymore, because your silence speaks louder than their chaos ever could. Peace is not passive, it is not weak, it is not the absence of struggle, it's the ability to remain unshaken in the middle of it. And when you choose to live that way, to carry stillness inside when everything around you is loud, you become unstoppable, because now you are no longer reacting to life. You are shaping it. The world may try to convince you that the loudest voice wins, that those who shout the most, who panic first, who strike hardest are the strongest. But strength isn't in the volume. Strength is in control, in the ability to hold your ground when every impulse screams at you to break, in the power to sit in silence and let the noise pass, not because you are afraid to speak, but because you know your peace is more valuable than your pride. Every day you are given a choice: be triggered or be trained, react impulsively or respond with purpose, fall into the pattern or rise above it. You are not your emotions. You are the master of them. You are not what happens to you. You are what you choose to become in response. And this is what separates those who rise from those who remain stuck. Most people never take the time to train their response. They live like open wires, always reacting, always emotional, always pulled by whatever's loudest in the moment. But when you become intentional, when you develop the discipline to pause, to reflect, to hold your peace like it's sacred, that's when everything changes. Because now, you're not wasting energy on things that don't deserve it. You're not throwing your focus into battles that don't matter. You're not surrendering your time, your power, your self-respect just to prove a point. You are aligned with a deeper purpose. And when you are rooted in purpose, nothing can move you that easily. People will still talk. Let them. Pressure will still rise. Face it. Doubt will still whisper. Ignore it. What matters is that you hold your center. That no matter what comes, you know who you are. You know what you stand for. You know what you're building. And you will not let temporary feelings destroy what you are destined to create. That's why emotional mastery is so powerful. Because once you've mastered your emotions, no one can use them against you. They can try to provoke you. They can try to pull you into their storm. But you've trained yourself to be still. And that stillness is your superpower. Not because you're cold, but because you're clear. Not because you don't care, but because you've stopped giving your peace away to anything that moves. This level of discipline is rare. Most will never choose it. It's easier to lash out, easier to blame, easier to live in constant reaction. But the easy path never leads to greatness. The easy path keeps you stuck. It keeps you distracted. It keeps you wasting your life on things that were never worthy of your time in the first place. But you're not here to waste your life. You're here to elevate it. You're here to step into your power, to become someone who leads, not someone who follows the chaos. You are here to become the kind of person who can face anything, walk through fire, withstand pressure, and still move with clarity, still act with purpose, still lead with vision. That doesn't mean you don't feel. You're human. You'll feel it all. The anger, the doubt, the fear. But the difference is you won't be ruled by it anymore. You'll see it, acknowledge it, and then choose your action. That's what separates the powerful from the powerless. Those who act from awareness, not impulse. And when you show the world that calm under pressure, that steady heart when things get tough, that silent confidence that doesn't need to shout, you give others permission to do the same. You become a model for resilience. A reminder that true power is not reactive. It's grounded. It's patient. It's unshakable. So hold your peace like it's gold. Protect your focus like it's sacred. And treat your energy like the rare resource it is. Because once you learn to act as if nothing bothers you, not out of denial, but out of discipline, you'll start to move differently, think differently, lead differently. You'll start making decisions from your highest self, not your triggered self. You'll start attracting opportunities, not distractions. You'll start creating momentum, not chaos. And your life will begin to reflect the strength you've been building inside all along. This is not about faking it. It's about becoming it. Becoming the kind of person who no longer flinches in the face of stress because you've built your mind like a fortress. Becoming the kind of person who doesn't chase validation because you've learned to validate yourself. Becoming the kind of person who doesn't just survive pressure, but thrives under it. Let others waste their energy reacting. You'll conserve yours for the battles that matter. Let others drown in drama. You'll rise in discipline. Let others be consumed by noise. You'll lead with silence. And when they wonder how you do it, how you stay so composed, so focused, so untouchable, you'll know the truth. It's not that life got easier, it's that you got wiser, stronger, calmer. And now, nothing outside of you controls the peace you built within. Power is quiet because it doesn't need to announce itself. Real power isn't about proving you're right, winning every argument, or broadcasting your strength. It's about knowing you can and choosing not to. It's the kind of power that doesn't need validation because it's already anchored in conviction. You don't flinch, you don't rush, and you don't crumble. Because your strength is no longer a reaction, it's a decision. You've outgrown the noise. You've outgrown the desperate need to explain yourself to people who never cared to understand you in the first place. You no longer waste your breath trying to be seen by those who are blind to your value. You're not here to convince. You're here to become. And the moment you shift your energy from trying to be noticed to trying to be excellent, your whole life begins to change. When you stop chasing approval, you start reclaiming your time, your mental space, your power. Because needing to be understood by everyone is the fastest way to stay small. Not everyone is supposed to get you. Not everyone is qualified to see your vision. Some people were only meant to misunderstand you, so you would finally learn how to trust yourself without their applause.